Hi, I'm Pratim Ranjan Bose, and you are watching Podcast with Pratim, presented by Iravati Research and Communication Center, or IRCC. In this episode, we will discuss Balochistan. As you are aware, this particular province of Pakistan has been in news recently. I have with me counterterrorism and special operations specialist Anant Mishra. Anant is a Marie Curie Research Fellow at the International Center for Policing and Security at University of South Wales. Welcome to you, Anant. Anant,
Thank you so much, sir. Good to have you back, sir.
Anant, what's happening in Balochistan? A lot of us who do not track things very minutely uh, are a little, unaware of how things are panning out. Yes, we all know that this place had long been at war, and I mean, had long been subjected to unrest, and that history goes back to 70, 80 years. But of late, there has been regular flow of news of fighting between the Baloch Liberation Army and Pakistan Army. There were cases of where they hijacked a train and etc. In fact, even yesterday, there was a news of Baloch Liberation Army uh, have taken control over some parts of the land. Last month, as we are aware, Baloch leader Mir Baloch declared independence. Can you please tell us what's happening? Is BLA the sole representative of Baloch people, or there are other rebel groups? And to what extent news of them capturing cities and police stations are correct? Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here again. Sir, as of mid 2025, Balochistan is no longer simmering. It is what I consider as boiling. And which was always understood as a low intensity skirmish in remote districts. The Baloch insurgency, as many scholars have termed it, has now matured into a full fledged multidimensional crisis. Now, this is evident from the territorial raids or the hostage crisis and the symbolic proclamation of independence that you've rightly mentioned. So, this isn't just a fight for land anymore, sir. It's a battle for narration or a narrative battle of legitimacy and sovereignty, sir. So, at the heart of this insurgency, as you've rightly mentioned, is the BLA. But let me inform the audience, BLA is not one group, but a network of coordinated militant factions. Each of them has their own leaders, each of them has their own tactics, and each of them has their own zone of control, sir. So let me rewind a bit as to what happened in 2025, sir. So this saga of the Baluchi insurgency, as what has been studied in the West particularly, sir, has came into prominence during the Jafar Express hijack, sir. And on March 11 to 2025, the Balochistan, the province itself, crossed a psychological threshold, sir, when militants hijacked the Jafar Express, a very busy passenger train from Quetta to Peshawar. 400 hostages were held at gunpoint, mostly civilians. And sir, let me tell you, these militants weren't masked amateurs, and they were battle hardened, very tactically coordinated, media savvy individuals. And their demands were very simple, sir. UN recognition of Balochistan as an occupied territory. This is what they stated very outrightly. They wanted the call was for release of Baluchi political prisoners, sir, and withdrawal of Pakistani military from key southern districts. So you can see the three pointed, very pointed demands and very explicit demands. And this is what we call it in the study of insurgencies, as a doctrinal shift in insurgency as a political theater. And to be very honest, sir, it worked. And it worked because this was not the only end. This was essentially a starting of it, sir. And I'll tell you why, sir. Because this resulted in May, coming in from March to May, the Khusdar school bus bombing. And just days before the Sorab operation, the city of Sorab, an IED tore across a school bus in Khusdar, which killed 10 children between age 8 to 15, sir. And this drew enormous outrage in the nationwide, sir, because for once, no group had claimed responsibility. The state quickly come up and said it is Baluchi separatists, and there was massive protests in Balochistan. So this was led by the Baluch Jahiti Committee, which demanded an independent inquiry as to what happened, accusing the state of politicizing the civilian deaths. Now, this resulted in mass detentions and forced disappearance, which has always been going on. And the army chief, General Munir, denounced this and saying that this is we want to completely eradicate anti-state elements. So this is what they said. So Baluchi activists flooded the streets in Balochistan, and there was severe crackdown in Gwadar, Mashtung, Panjgur. But this is also not the end, sir. Then happened the siege of city, Sorab, which has never been happened before. Now, sir, on 30th May 2025, the BLA-J fighters launched their assault on Sorab city, and I would say they neutralized, they overwhelmed the security apparatus in the region. And sir, they were I would say peculiar about their objectives. They stormed the administrative building. They killed the deputy commissioner Hedayat Boledi. They looted a national bank, and then sir, they distributed pamphlets like Balochistan ki azadi ka faisla ho chuka hai. So the Balochistan's freedom has been decided. And they held the city for not only 1 and 2 hours, sir, it was 7 hours. And there was no escape in this operation, and it was a symbolic seizure of sovereignty, sir. So, in the words of the BLA, they said it in the terms of in the terms of insurgency, sir. We can govern, we can disrupt, but more importantly, we can return. So these are the three messages that they sent through this. To the context of, sir, the notion of BLA itself. So let me inform the audience as well, sir. The BLA is often misunderstood at a singular group, sir, but it is not a singular group. It is a fluid coalition of many factions. So the mainstream that you see in the BLA is Harbayer Marari faction. So now, sir, this is where it gets very interesting. The Harbayer Mari faction, the Harbayer Mari is based in London, sir, and his objective is to basically target urban attacks, use diplomacy as a means to coordinate support from the EU and the UK, and use narrative warfare as a tactic. Now, within the BLA is the Majid Brigade, which is very known for conducting suicide missions and urban assaults. And they are also responsible for past attacks in Karachi Stock Exchange. And they are also the ones who led the attack on the Chinese consulate. Then we have the BLAJ, which is the emerging form or the face of radicalism. This is BLA Jiand. Now, BLA Jiand was famously emerged or as orchestrating the Jafar Express hijack. Now, the difference between the BLAJ and the traditional BLA is, sir, the BLAJ is very younger. They are more younger. So I spoke to one of the Baluchis, and then he described them as very naive but very devoted to nationalist principles, and that makes them more lethal and more radical because the more younger they are, as in terms of the more ideological they are, the more radical they are, they not only reject tribal hierarchy, the BLAJ or the BLAGiand, but sir, they also reject the London-based leadership. So these tactics that the BLAJ uses, hostage taking, city raids, they use symbolic declarations saying we are here, and they are this liberation movement or this group is formed out of sacrifice, local sacrifice. So all of them had somebody or the other picked up by the Pakistani military, have been harnessed, or I would say have been harassed by the ISI. They've been harnessed at some point of time by the ISI, but then their family members they revolted against them. The influence of ISI in the Baluchi community. So that was seen as an interference in the Baluchi tribal way of life, sir. And then you have some smaller elements like the Majid Brigade, which was formed by slain commander Aslam Baloch. Aslam Baloch was killed in a drone strike in Kandahar. This specializes in IED attacks, high casualty attacks for propaganda value. Then you have United Baloch Army, which has now been absorbed within the broader BLA structures, formed by Mehran Marri. And then you have the BRAS, which is the Baluchi Raji Ajoy Sangar, which is an operational alliance between BLA, the Baluch Republican Army, and the BLF, the Baluch Liberation Front. So in 2025, the BRAS claimed coordinated attacks in Ketch, Panjgur, and Turbat. But sir, this is a confederation of coordinated rage, if I may call it, and even the digital world is not very, I would say, is playing a larger role into it. So there, from the support element, so this is the tactical element. From the support element, we have the Free Balochistan movement, formed in 2015 by Harbayar Mari, the son of Nawab Khair Bakhsh Mari, and the base of operations is in London, a political diplomatic front, not an armed group, but heavily linked to BLA narratives. The objective is to have full independence of Balochistan from Pakistan, seeking UN recognized statehood, sir. And so the Harbar Marri, the leadership, is an exiled Baloch leader who was granted political asylum in the UK. He plays a diplomatic role, positions the Free Baloch movement as a legitimate liberation movement, not as a terror outfit. So he lobbies
Okay.
at the UN, he lobbies at the European Parliament. He lobbies at the Western NGOs. He organizes protests and panel discussions in London, Brussels, Geneva. He runs a multilingual propaganda network with videos, documentaries, policy briefings, and shared diaspora platforms. And he operates his team or influence sites operates media infrastructure. So you have groups like Baluch Varna, Free Balochistan Voice, and Telegram groups broadcasting the Baluchi attacks, protests, and military takedowns. And then their relationship with the BLA is basically officially they deny it,
So, so
but
what?
ideology.
So, what you mean is that the BLA is now has now taken the shape of a Confederate army, kind of, and and it is much stronger. Their movement has gained ground now. It is, as you say, the BLAJ and etc. So it is agile and it is fighting for the sovereignty both and in cases it is not merely some movement driven from the west, west out of west and sitting, but it is taking on ground. Now my question is, when you are doing that, uh, you are fighting against the mighty army of Pakistan, and then you share borders with Afghanistan and Iran. Now the equation of Pakistan army with Iran and Afghanistan will mean a lot to these people. And we know that the Iran and Pakistan are very close allies in one sense of the term. So whether Iran will approve such things on their borders, and there are a lot of unofficial trade between Iran and Pakistan, so this thing can disturb. Then Afghanistan is, of course, whether the Taliban will approve. And finally, there are Chinese, because you have the Ghadir port. So how does these external factors work for them or against them?
Sir, let me tell you something about geography, sir. And since your question is very pointed, so I have to explain from the perspectives of how does geography see Balochistan, sir.
Right.
So from the margins, I would say from the margins to the Middle East. Now, this is what the Balochistan strategic real estate looks like. So it is connected to the Middle East, sir, via Iran. It is connected to Afghanistan via Central Asia. It is part of the South Asian element through the with the connection of the Pakistan India connectivity, and then you have the access to the Indian Ocean, sir, via the Gwadar port. Now, sir, this is not the only geographical leverage that it has. It has rich natural gas fields in Dera Bukti and Sui. It has copper and gold in Saindak and Rekodik, a deep water port in Gwadar, which is key to China's BRI and maritime ambitions. So, I would say, sir, it's not just the land that it has leverage. And looking at the geographic scale of Balochistan, sir, it is massive. By far the largest province of Pakistan, 44% of Pakistan's total land area, and even then, sir, it is home to only 6% of its population. That is, as per 2025, sir, according to one scholar, almost 13 million. So, what does it reflect? It reflects that the size of Balochistan is roughly the size of Germany, sir. And the population density that it has, particularly both urban and rural, sir, is equivalent to rural Namibia. And why I say that? Reason being,
In
it has
some
vast,
ways, you know, in some
sir,
ways, there's an interesting comparison. Uh, so when Bangladesh was separated from Pakistan,
sir,
Bangladesh had more population than land and less resource. Bangladesh had no natural resource. They have barely anything, except some offshore gas. But the Balochistan is full of natural resource, industrial resource. I'm talking about energy, port, and geostrategic location, as you are saying, and less of people and more of land. So so for Pakistan, they should be the effort to contain this thing in rebellion in Balochistan should be far more intensified. What do you?
sir. And that is very right, sir. And let me tell you, sir, it is not only limited to the coal or other aspects of it. Sir, natural gas contributes to almost 40% of Pakistan's natural gas demand, and it is at its peak. So, sir, taking that narrative into account and taking that element into account, sir, the Baluchis have sought alliance. So, what you've mentioned about Afghanistan, what you've mentioned Iran, sir, I would like to retrace it from inwards to outwards, sir. So, Baluchis being their ideology or being a militant organization per se, looked first not to Afghanistan or to Iran or anywhere else, but they looked first to the TTP, sir. And this is where it gets very interesting, sir. So the Taliban plays a very silent role in Balochistan, sir. And let me
Okay.
tell you why. Since the Taliban has taken control in Afghanistan, sir, it it hosts certain sanctuary for anti-Pak insurgents in Nimruz, Kandahar, and Helmand, sir. Although the Taliban regime does not officially support the Baluchi separatists, sir, the lack of enforcement on the Durand line, sir, de facto allows it. Now, the BLA factions have trained, regrouped, and planned inside Afghanistan, sir. Their fighters move freely in Chaman, Ghulam Khan, and Angor Adda corridors. There are network of safe houses in Zaranj, which is basically operated by Baluchi smugglers, standing between Iran, Afghanistan, and the Pakistan triangle that you've rightly mentioned. But there is a strategic silence, sir. This is what how we define Taliban's posture for a calculated ambivalence. They've rejected Pakistani demands to clamp down on Baluchis and TTP fighters. Publicly, they claim that do not allow any group to use Afghan soil for foreign insurgency. But privately, sir, those who have I have interviewed for many for many studies, they say to their tribal leaders or in the shura that this is not our fight. This is their standard definition of defining it. So what does that make of BLA and TTP, sir? They operate. They let TTP operate with BLA without an overt Taliban sponsorship, but with tactical freedom. That is how I define it, sir. So the Taliban is refusing to track them, sir. They're essentially refusing to do anything to them on any at any aspect, sir. But sir, their silence is more than deafening, sir. And this is the reason why, sir. Because BLA and TTP fighters agree on a coexistence in the overlapping spaces of Afghanistan, sir. And although they are not cooperating directly, sir, but BLA fighters near Zaranj have used the Taliban smuggling routes, operating both in Pakistan and in Iran, sir. But this is also interesting, sir. The relationship between TTP and BLA is tactical, sir. It's not ideological. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because BLA is secular, it's ethnic nationalist. TTP is Islamist and pan tribalist and Salafist. So in 2025, we see that there is a convergence in their thought process, in their cooperation. They are using, both of them are using a common arms smuggling route, sir. Zob, Panjgur, and Chaman. TTP facilitators have started providing them explosives, training of explosives in exchange for safe package and logistical support. So the question that you may ask now is, why is there an informal understanding between BLAJ and TTP in the Makran belt? The answer is very simple, sir. They have a common enemy, and the enemy is Pakistani state and the military, sir. And neither wants others' ideology to benefit from that operational depth, safe houses, and I would say smuggling channels, sir. So that is the reason why the impact is seen largely in this. Because ideology wise, TTP is Islami jihadi, Deobandi, anti democracy, pan Islamist, and BLA goes for a secular Baluch ethno nationalism. Looking at the end game of TTP, sir, they want to impose Sharia across Pakistan. But that is not a cause of concern for BLA. The BLA wants independence from Pakistan. So, on the note of statehood, TTP rejects the borders. TTP says we want an Islamic emirate. But for BLA, their demands are very specific. They want an ethnic based statehood with specific national boundaries. And if you look at TTP's alliances, they are aligned to what? Taliban,
So
and previously they were.
why are they against Pakistani? Why TTP is against Pakistani army? It is. I mean, is smuggling anything to do with in these things?
Sir, they operate in a very simple funda, sir. Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Okay. And
And
so BLA is not getting any support from the Iran side, right?
sir, it's not that it's not very simple, sir. It's not how we say that is Iran playing a major role, or is there an Iran role in it, sir? Sir, if you look at the Balochistan border zone, Iran shares a 909-kilometer border with Pakistani Balochistan, sir. And it, although it has its own region known as Sistan and Baluchistan, which hosts a significant or Sunni Baluchi minority, sir. Now, the common element that you can see, or as a layman who studies both the Baluch movement, at least from not from a hindsight, but at least even in terms of writing, the Sunni Baluch minority shares kingship ties, tribal affiliations. So you see Baloch coming in both. So Baloch and Baluch are exactly the same. The terminology is different. So border is porous if you look at it. It is
Okay.
poorly monitored. There is arms flow, there is insurgent mobility. So even Iran doesn't want a Baluch insurgency in Pakistan, sir. And but there is a big headache, sir. At least in Tehran, the headache is comes from Jaish al-Adl, which literally means Army of Justice, which is a Sunni extremist Baluch group in Sistan, Balochistan, sir. And they were remnants of Jundullah, and they are anti-Shia, they are anti-Iran, they are Salafi. They've been so Tehran alleges that they've been supported by Saudi-Israeli network. Jundullah or Jaish al-Adl in now form has ambushed IRGC convoys. They've conducted suicide bombings. They've conducted cross-border attacks. So, at Jaish al-Adl, as of today in 2025, sir, they have grown in more sophistication. And sir, the harboring or failing to stop these fighters is is basically a headache. And this is because of insufficient border cooperation, sir, cooperation between both Tehran and Islamabad, sir.
Okay.
So this is also something that you see, sir, coming in from cross-border retaliation. So in January 2024, Iranian hit Jaish al-Adl camps 20 kilometers inside Pakistani territory, and then in February, Pakistani responded with artillery fire in the
Yes.
Iran's Iran region. You remember,
Yes.
sir? And both countries exchanged accusations at the UN. So Balochistan, if I say it in today's terms, is now a trilateral instability zone, and Tehran is entangled into it, sir. Whether it like it or not, sir. So the thing is, sir, Iran views ethno-nationalism, especially from the Sunni Baloch demands, as a threat to its territorial integrity, sir. And although Tehran wants subtle ties with Islamabad, but sir, it cannot afford a two-front war, particularly as of today, sir. It cannot. From the Israel-US pressure in the Gulf and the insurgency in the eastern border, it's an open-ended conflict which it wants to avoid. So what does Tehran do best? It conducts retaliatory strikes and then issues diplomatic reassurances. It condemns terrorism, sir, and making no effort to extradite or even let's say to a slightest narrative what Pakistan says during their conversations with Tehran is if when it alleges that Tehran is involved.
Okay.
So Iran makes no effort.
Yeah. As a wrap up, I want a
Yeah,
very quick answer. You what
yeah,
you explained that Balochistan has certain very interesting geostrategic advantages
yeah,
uh, and geoeconomic as well. And it is enjoying the unofficial support from both the Afghan border and the Iran border. And it is
sir,
also enjoying the fruits
sir,
of some kind of uh, unstable relationship
sir,
between Iran and Pakistan. It's not,
sir,
they were not always, as you rightly said, there were
right.
exchange of a few missiles on either side. Just tell me quickly, assume Balochistan becomes independent. Should it help the Afghan or TTP or Iran? And just a quick answer.
Sir, assuming it's a very far-fetched thought, sir, because
Of
what
course,
is
it's a
happening
far
right
fetched. Of course, it's a far fetched and hypothetical.
so sir, in analysis, sir, hypothetics is something that we've always avoided, sir. But even if
Okay,
even if
so
we go that far, sir, I don't think so, sir, that Baluchis will is or the liberation movement is going to is getting its power or legitimacy by tactical action, sir. Dr. Mehrang Baluch has become a national symbol of resistance, sir. And the university campuses have become a non-violent centers of rebellion, sir. So the way that things are going, I mean, particularly with Telegram, YouTube, and WhatsApp becoming symbols, the UN and EU pressure that they're trying to create, the soft isolation that they were essentially getting in because China has paused CPEC investment in Gwadar because of security guarantees. So, sir, the liberation movement is definitely boiling up. Uh, it is there are strong points of resistance. The Pakistani military and the Pakistani political establishment, particularly after Op Sindoor, they are in a turmoil in that area, in that region. Baluch mothers, wives, and sisters have routinely led protests for the return of their loved ones because of frequent abduction and frequent killings and assassinations that are happening in that region, sir. So it is boiling, sir, at best. At to There is no other way to define, sir. So it
Right.
is definitely boiling,
So,
sir.
right. So let us wrap it over here. And I believe in the longer term, China will have a lot of will might use its clout. China has clout. It has leverages on both Pakistan as well as Iran. So that might play some role over here. We have to see, and but at the end of the day, China will also see their advantages. If they come into terms with Baloch, after all, it is their safety of their assets which matter to them. So anyway, thank you very much for coming. It was nice discussing Balochistan. We will keep discussing it as and when things come again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me again. Thank you, sir.